It's Michael Popok, Legal AF, on the heels of Judge Cannon getting rid of the case that she's hated from the very beginning and helping Donald Trump, the person that appointed her, by dismissing the Lago case. Matt Gaetz has finally come out, I almost said out of the closet, the embattled, who's involved with a sex scandal, congressperson, MAGA. Matt Gaetz has declared in a social media post that AILEEN Cannon is the front runner to be a United States Supreme Court justice should Donald Trump regain the presidency. Let me repeat that. We have speculated here on Legal AF, and I practice down in Florida, and I practice in the Southern District of Florida, that the only way to interpret the things that AILEEN Cannon has done from the very beginning of this case went beyond just an inexperienced jurist who'd only been on the bench for a short amount of time and had tried almost no cases during the COVID period when she was assigned this case, who refused to step down from this case and give it over to a more senior jurist. We had thought she was just over her skis. She was just borderline incompetent, not unintelligent. Went to the right law schools. She was a member of the Federalist Society. She worked in the Department of Justice on appeals. She wasn't a trial lawyer. She was an appellate lawyer. So not an idiot. Somebody that no Democrat would have picked to be a federal judge in Florida, but she was Marco Rubio's choice and recommendation of Trump. She checked all the boxes. She ticked all the boxes. She was Hispanic. Her parents came here as immigrants. She was a Republican. She grew up in Miami and went to school in Coral Gables in a private school. She went to the right universities. She worked for the Department of Justice. And what else do you need to say? And she was the right age. And now we go beyond that. Because having spent 93 pages, but really just 5 of those 93 pages, doing any type of proper analysis to put her opinion as a rogue, outlier, fringe decision that will be quickly reversed by the 11th Circuit, and I would think even by the United States Supreme Court majority, we have her true intentions. I've said this before on Legal AF, and I'll say it again here. The days of young federal judges staying in their seats until they die or retire well into their 70s is sort of over. And Florida in particular has had a number of situations, a number of examples where relatively young federal judges leave after 4, 5, 6, or 10 years. Some of them leave the Florida Supreme Court. Some of them leave their federal clerkships, some of the federal judgeships. Some of them leave the 11th Circuit, and they go back to a lucrative payday in private practice. That's one revolving door. It runs one way. They get on in their late 30s, they come off in their mid to late 40s, and they spend the next 20, 30 years making over $1 million a year or more working for a mega MAGA firm. Could be a very conservative firm, and now there's already a built-in constituency of MAGA criminal defendants who are being prosecuted or investigated around the country by attorney generals and others who I'm sure would love to have AILEEN Cannon join their law firms and join their legal teams. That's one. But the other fear that we've had is that this was a tryout for the United States Supreme Court or higher office for AILEEN Cannon. And Matt Gaetz just said it in a social media post when he complimented her and said, our next Supreme Court justice. That's not just idle chatter. That's not, hubris talking. That's how they think. And that's how I'm sure she's thinking. That's why she didn't step down when it's been reported that 2 senior judges, including the chief judge of the Southern District, Chief Altanaga, and I think Judge Middlebrooks, both eminently qualified to have handled this high-profile case, went to her early on and said, hey, AILEEN, you kind of got sideways with the 11th Circuit. Your boss is on the appellate court twice before this case even got up and running as an indictment. Maybe it's not a good look. Maybe you should step down. Maybe you should turn it over to a more senior person. And she said no, because this was a win-win-win for her. She either stayed in her lifetime appointment. Nobody can move her. She's already in one of the worst divisions of the Southern District up in Fort Pierce, but that's where she lives. So it's not like they could give her, send her to Siberia. She's already sort of in the Siberia of the Southern District. Plum assignments are in Miami, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, even Key West, I would put over this. So they can't do that to her. So that's a win. Most clothes are uncomfortable or too tight or never actually the size you really are, not to mention the annoyance of trying to put a good outfit together. Everyone wants to dress their best and look good at all times because, frankly, it's a confidence booster. I regularly wear Rhone when I do the podcast or on Hot Takes. So here's the deal. Men's closets were due for a radical reinvention, and Rhone stepped up to the challenge. Rhone's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man. And here's why. Rhone helps you get ready for any occasion with the commuter collection, which offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, 1/4 zips, and polos. Rhone's comfortable 4-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility that leaves you free to enjoy what life throws your way. From your commute to work to your 18 holes of golf. It's time to feel confident without the hassle. With Rhone's wrinkle release technology, wrinkles disappear as you stretch and wear the products. It's that easy. With Gold Fusion anti-odor technology, you'll be smelling fresh and clean all day long. And on top of that, Rhone is 100% machine washable, so you can ditch the dry cleaner altogether. Rhone has truly become my favorite clothes. We're on the move a lot. Whether it's jumping from meeting to meeting or catching a flight or a dinner out, the Rhone commuter collection has never let me down. Even after I wear it all day, I still feel super fresh because of that Gold Fusion anti-odor technology. Head to Rhone.com/legalaf and use promo code legalaf to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/legalaf and use code legalaf. It's time to find your corner office. If Trump gets in, then he puts her in the 11th Circuit Appellate Court, right? Or the DC Court of Appeals, which is a feeder program to sort of season people. It's the Supreme Court training program, the DC Court of Appeals, with an opening. Or he skips all that and goes right to the United States Supreme Court because he doesn't care about appearance and optics. He doesn't care that it looks transactional, that it is transactional. He'll do it. And that's the second win. And the third win, if none of those two things happen, which are all based on, or at least one of them based on Donald Trump winning, even if he loses, she can step down and now convert a relatively low-paying federal judge position into that MAGA law firm partnership representing other MAGA. For examples of that, see Cleta Mitchell, see Chris Kice, see Todd Blanche. Right? Those are the examples that have so far held on to their law licenses. Of course, see also Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Ken Chesebro, John Eastman. So the road divides in front of you pretty quickly when you've decided to throw in your lot with Donald Trump. But that's her third win. That's the win for AILEEN Cannon. So I didn't smack my forehead when I read Matt Gaetz's comment promoting effectively AILEEN Cannon, but I wanted to bring it to your attention because who wins in November is not just important for the administration and the continuation of policy, or to, as our president says, finish the job that he's already started. It's mainly important to me, and not just because I'm a co-anchor and co-founder of Legal AF. It's important to me as an American citizen, as a patriot, that we have a better balanced United States Supreme Court filled with people who are qualified. So if you don't think AILEEN Cannon is qualified to be a federal judge, let alone on the United States Supreme Court, one of 9 people who claim to be infallible, who claim to be ethical because whatever they do is ethical, like there's some sort of 9 popes, right? If you shudder to think of that possibility in the future, then you don't vote for anything related to Donald Trump. You just vote blue up and down the ticket, and you ensure that the Senate is returned to the Democrats so they can do what they got to do to confirm federal judges, including Supreme Court judges, or oppose them, and that the presidency is held by the Democrats. So that in the next term, when there is inevitably going to be 1 or 2 picks that could swing the court from 6-3 super MAGA majority, right, to 5-4 the other way, you don't see AILEEN Cannon being proposed to be a Supreme Court justice just because she ruled the way that MAGA wanted her to rule, without any other judicial integrity or proper foundation. I mean, as the president said recently in an interview, you can't just love this country when you win. You're not just a patriot when you win. You have to be a patriot when you lose. And that's our fear, is that the other party getting in will pick people that they see as loyal to them as their primary and only credential to occupy one of the three branches of government. I mean, there is no more exclusive club in the universe than to be one of 9 Supreme Court justices in what's increasingly been less than a co-equal set of branches of government. You've now got the imperial presidency created by the Supreme Court, which rides above it all the branches. Then you've got, if you're making a diagram, you got this giant circle which occupies the presidency under Article 2. You've got a slightly smaller circle that's occupied by the United States Supreme Court, and then this other thing that we call Congress, the legislative branch. That's the way it looks right now, from a power dynamic, from an organogram. And so that's the most exclusive club there is, other than the presidency. And it's better than the presidency, because even though you're one of 9, if you're there with your buddies and your friends, you'll always be in the majority and you have a lifetime appointment. Presidency, you got 2 terms. Thank God, even if Donald Trump was to be restored to power, it's only the maximum damage he can do is 4 years or 3 years. He'll be lame duck by the 3rd year because he can't serve more than 1 term. At least that's what we think now. We'll have to see what would happen if there's a 7-2, 8-1 majority in the United States Supreme Court, and how they read the Constitution and the limitation on 2 terms that's set forth in one of the amendments. We'll follow it all right here on the MeidasTouch Network. On Legal AF, we do a show, a podcast at the intersection of law and politics called Legal AF, Wednesdays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I co-anchor it on Wednesdays with Karen Friedman at Knifilo, on Saturdays with Ben Meiselas, and then hot takes like this one at that same intersection about every hour. And then you can pick us up on every major podcast platform. And free subscribe to the MeidasTouch Network. Help them get to 3 million free subscribers as we lead into the November 5th election. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.